Hi everyone. We're going to find the domain of these two logarithmic functions here. And we're basically using this where this whole quantity here, I'm calling this the big X, has to be positive for both of these. So I'm going to do the first one, and then you all try the second one by pausing the video and then seeing if you get it right. So basically, this one's a little more complicated. For this one, for the domain, it requires that this big X is greater than 0. So that means 1 divided by x plus 1 has to be positive. All right? But if you look at it, let's call this P. If I say P of x equals 1 over x plus 1, we know this is undefined at x equals negative 1. So what I need to do is, you can actually do this mentally, but if we're doing it algebraically, we're going to test intervals around negative 1. So I know I can't use negative 1 because that's undefined. So let's see if I could use negative 2. So if I test negative 2, when I plug in negative 2, 1, I'm looking at this, over negative 2 plus 1, this equals negative 1. So basically that's not going to work because this quantity here has to be positive. So let's test 0. So I'm going to test 0 because 0 is greater than negative 1. So I'm looking at this again. So when you plug in that, P of 0 equals 1 divided by 0 plus 1. That is 1. That is positive. So looking at your x minus 1, your domain is going to be x such that x has to be greater than negative 1, but it can't equal negative 1 because it would be undefined at negative 1. All right, so y'all try this one. It's the same thing. This whole quantity here, our big X, has to be positive. And also, if we look at undefined, and let's call this P again, P of X, and let it just be 1 divided by X minus 5. So I know it's undefined at 5. X equals 5 makes this undefined. So we don't want it to be 5. So let's test numbers below it, say 4 and 6. So if I put P of 4, I get 1 divided by 4 minus 5, which is negative 1. Well, we can't have a negative in here. This has to be positive. So let's try 6. If I do P of 6, I get 1 divided by 6 minus 5, which equals 1. So that is positive. So this part works, this part doesn't work. Therefore, we're going to use our domain as all real numbers such that x has to be greater, but it can't equal 5. So it's just greater than 5. So if you put in numbers less than 5, it's not going to be positive. And that's it. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.